Sagnika is completely confused and doesn't understand what is happening. Sagnika notices that everyone's faces have suddenly turned pale, with a strange fear visible on all their faces. Some girls were so scared that they started calling out the names of their gods. They began to remember their respective gods. Someone was reciting the Hanuman Chalisa while someone else was doing something else. Some girls just ran out of there, saying they couldn't stay any longer and went straight to their rooms without looking back. Sagnika is not understanding anything. What has happened? What did this girl say? And what is she doing here? Who is here that upon hearing them, all these girls ended up in such a state? Now the owner gently tells the girl, "Don't worry, everything is fine. We are here for you and you don't have to be alone. Come with us and stay with us today, okay? Everything will be alright." And saying this, when they are taking the girl with them, the other girls are now looking at them in fear. So the owner tells them too, "You all don't worry, everything is fine. Go to your rooms and sleep. You don't have to go to the office tomorrow. Go and rest. Go comfortably." And saying this, the owner also leaves. The other girls are also going to their rooms. When everyone is leaving, the girl who is standing next to Sagnika takes a moment to talk to her. Says, "What happened here? I mean, I couldn't understand anything. And what were you talking about? Can you tell me about the context? Why is everyone around here acting like they've just seen a ghost?" And finally, that girl tells Sagnika a story. She says that about 4 months ago, there was a girl living here who was working as an intern at an office. This girl, who was an intern, had been living in this very place during that time. The girl used to be really troubled. Her office was super hectic. She had to do extra work for many hours at her job, which made her come back to the PG very late in the evening. There was a rule in the PG that stated no one could enter after 9 p.m. But she always used to arrive at 11 o'clock or 11:30 p.m., which is why she had to listen to the guards' complaints every time. She was really stressed out. The chaos of the office in the morning and the PG at night. She also had some personal problems, which were clearly visible on her face, making it evident to anyone who looked at her. She became so troubled that she neither talked to anyone nor ever laughed anymore. She always stayed inside her room. One night, we all heard a loud noise, something falling to the ground. In the stillness and silence of the night, that noise echoed so loudly that all the girls came out of their rooms to see what had happened. And the noise seemed to come from room number 306. When we all ran over to see what was happening, we found the girl's body lying in that room, completely lifeless and still. That girl had sadly passed away. All the girls who were staying in the PG were screaming and crying. Then eventually the owners came and took that girl away with them. Gradually, everyone started to forget about it. They moved on with their lives and the girls began living happily in their rooms once again, just like before. But one night some of the girls started to complain that they were hearing strange noises. They said they distinctly heard the main gate being opened, and it was quite unsettling for them. These noises start around 11 o'clock or 11:30 p.m. The main gate opens, someone enters, and the sound of footsteps can be heard. The person would go up to the 3rd floor, and then to the room at the very corner of the 3rd floor. They heard the whole sequence. Someone came upstairs, went to the 3rd floor, and turned left. The door of the corner room on the 3rd floor, which is room number 306, would open and then close again as if moved by an unseen hand. The girls heard these noises about 3 or 4 times. After hearing it 3 or 4 times, they got scared because everyone knew what had happened in room 306. So all the girls filed a complaint. When everyone complains, this news spreads throughout the PG. Initially, everyone made fun of it, saying nothing like that happens, you're just scared, etc. But gradually, everyone started hearing these noises. Everyone began to hear these noises and slowly started believing that something was wrong with room 306. The spirit of that girl still comes at precisely 11:30 p.m. every single night. And then she heads to her room. Well, everyone was so incredibly terrified that the owner had decided to lock that particular room, and that's precisely why no one ever stayed there. It was always kept locked. As Sanika was listening to all this, it felt like darkness was slowly enveloping her because the room they were talking about was the very room she was currently staying in. Sagnika asks the girl what the name of the girl who died was, the one whose spirit was said to be wandering around, and then she proceeds to tell her that the name of the girl who died was Rupali. It felt like the ground had shifted beneath Sagnika's feet because she had been living with Rupali. For several days, Rupali, who used to come at 11:30 a.m. from her hectic job, seemed troubled. Sagnika was completely baffled. She couldn't process how this could be possible. The girl she had always considered her friend, the one she spent all her time with, wasn't even human at all. She was actually a spirit, a ghost. How is this even possible? How is it possible that you could be living with a ghost? Sagnika gets very terrified by this, so much so that she spent the entire night with the girl who had told her the whole story. Then, when morning came, she went to the owner and told him everything, that Rupali was still there. When the owner found out about all these things, he got really worried. He actually felt that all these things were fabricated and not real. People were just making up stories, and he believed they were doing so out of fear and anxiety. But it's okay. So many stories had spread among the girls that they decided to close the room. Still, he never truly believed that anything like this could be real. But today, when Sagnika told him everything in detail, the owner was completely shocked, wondering how on earth this could be possible. I used to think that all this was just a story. The owner was a good woman. Basically, they were a couple, husband and wife, and the one telling Sagnika now is the wife. She feels terrible that Sagnika had to endure so much drama because of her. Because when Sagnika was explaining everything, if you had seen her condition, you wouldn't have believed it. She was sweating and crying, but she couldn't even cry properly. She just wanted to get it all out, to release everything she was feeling. She is filled with a deep sense of anger, overwhelming frustration, and a lot of fear. She couldn't even understand what her emotions were at that moment. When she somehow manages to tell the owner everything, the owner apologizes to her and says, "From today onwards, I will never let anyone enter this room again." The owner does not take any money from Sagnika, not even for this month, and returns the money for the previous months as well, saying, "Dear, we did not do all this intentionally. Trust me, if we had even the slightest idea of what was going on, we wouldn't have done any of this to you at all. And while we can't remove all those things, we want you to comfortably keep all this money and move to a better place where you can feel more at ease. And if you can, please don't tell anyone about our PG. Please don't share this story with anyone. Because if you tell anyone about this, no one will want to come to our PG anymore, and this place is all we have left. Livelihood. Please." Sagnika understands their words and their emotions, and she says, "Okay, I won't tell anyone. Don't worry too much about it. Everything will be fine." She takes the money and moves to a nice paying guest accommodation. Sagnika will never make the mistake again of looking for a cheap PG, whether it's this one or that one. If something is very cheap, from now on, she will always take a moment to consider why that is the case. Why is someone offering me such an inexpensive PG? What could be the reason behind it? Because of taking a cheap PG, Sagnika has received a lifelong trauma. Although now nothing happens with Sagnika. After that day, she neither saw Rupali anywhere nor did anything wrong happen to her. But one significant thing that Sagnika will never get over are these lingering memories. These memories that haunt Sagnika every single day, the memories of how she was living with a spirit and how she once considered that spirit to be her friend, linger persistently in her mind. Sagnika mentions that now nothing really feels real to her anymore. Now, whenever she meets people, she feels, are they also like that? Could it be that this is also a spirit? Is this really true? It feels like nothing makes sense at all, and it seems like it will take a lot of time to overcome all these things. These conversations happened about 4 months ago, so it really hasn't been that long at all. She is slowly but surely overcoming it, and I just really hope that she can completely and fully overcome it as soon as possible. So that's it for today, guys. We'll meet again with another topic. Until then, take care.